Donovan Mitchell is a Cav. Yes, that came in 2.5 hours ago from Adrian Wojnarowski. He says that Utah is trading for Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland for Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, and Colin Sexton, as well as 3 unprotected first-round picks from 2025, 2027, and 2029, as well as pick swaps in 2026 and 2028. So, in other words, both teams won the trade. The Cavs get a star right now who is still young. Donovan Mitchell's, 24, 25 years old. He could score about that much on a minimum per night. He is an excellent three-point shooter, great, driver to the basket, good ball handler, and is an excellent pairing in the backcourt that already has Darius Garland. Okay, so in Cleveland, if you're telling me right now about the Cleveland Cavaliers, even in a loaded Eastern Conference, where I have always said all offseason, Milwaukee and Boston are the class of the East. They're followed by Miami and Philadelphia. And then you're sort of in that in-between range, your Brooklyns and your Chicagos. I think Cleveland just elevated into that level with Miami and Philadelphia. Because you're talking about a starting lineup of Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. Shooting, especially now that you got Donovan Mitchell, rim protection with Jared Allen, who might be the best of the game at that. Length. Evan Mobley just, finished second for Rookie of the Year, had a tremendous rookie season, has all kinds of promise. Oh, and by the way, you have Kevin Love coming off the bench, followed by Karis LeVert. 2 scores. Kevin Love's an excellent, stretch 4. That sounds like a lock to make the playoffs to me. If this team stays healthy, never forget this. The Cavaliers at one point were in the playoffs without even having to play in the play-in tournament until Jared Allen went down. And so once they lost their rim protection, they declined significantly on the defensive side of the floor. And so they had to play in the play-in tournament, and we know that they ended up losing to Brooklyn, and they ended up losing to Atlanta to miss the playoffs. But what this means for the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise is that for the first time in 2.5 decades, they are going to be relevant. They are going to be a problem without having to have LeBron James on their team. And that is a big, big step for this franchise. To add a player like Donovan Mitchell, who's a multi-time All-Star, who's one of the better scorers in today's game, who still isn't even in his prime yet. You add him to a backcourt that was already set. They've already got a great bench, right? J.B. Bickerstaff did a fantastic job. He was in the Coach of the Year running last year up until the Cavs suffered all the injuries they did. This is an absolute lock to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So good for the Cavs, even though I hate Cleveland. On the other hand, Utah also won the trade. This is one of the rare trades where both sides kind of come out, on the other side looking pretty good. We understand Danny Ainge is running the Utah Jazz, okay? He traded Rudy Gobert. The Rudy Gobert trade, really, you can point to that as the biggest reason, maybe even sort of the one move that put all of the things into motion that ended up keeping Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, because the general managers around the league were like, timeout, wait. If the Jazz can get all that for Rudy Gobert, we're going to need that and then some for a player of Kevin Durant's caliber. Right? So Danny Ainge kind of messed up the whole process. But he gets all of those picks for Rudy Gobert on top of the ones they already had in Utah, and he gets even more first-round picks from the Utah Jazz. The Jazz have 15 first-round picks in the next 7 NBA drafts. They're pulling in Oklahoma City right now. They are just stockpiling picks. And what do we know about the Jazz? They draft as well as anybody in basketball. In the last 25 years, the Jazz are, if they're not in the top 5, they're just outside of it in winning percentage in the whole NBA. Now, they don't have any championships to show for it. We all know Michael Jordan and the Bulls denied them twice in 97 and 98. I felt like they had the better team in 98. Right? And they've had plenty of very good players. They've had their Gordon Haywards. Okay? They just had Donovan Mitchell. But this gives them the opportunity to truly go into a full smack dab rebuild and for the Jazz, they still have multiple veterans that they can get even more picks for. They still have Jordan Clarkson, who's a former Sixth Man of the Year. They still have Bogdanovich. They still have Mike Conley. They still have all of these veteran guys that they can still move before the trading deadline to teams that maybe they need another scorer off the bench, or maybe they need a shooter, okay? Or maybe they just need a point guard to control the pace. Utah is all three. So they could be able to move those guys and just flat out over the next 5, 6, 7 years, commit fully to this rebuild. This isn't a New York Knicks situation. I know Knicks fans, this is a bad day for them because Knicks fans, like they think they're going to get everybody, thought they were going to get Donovan Mitchell. And certainly there were the signs that there was a possibility that could happen. It didn't. But this isn't a New York Knicks situation where they butcher just about every draft pick that they possess. Utah drafts extremely well. They get picks. So the Jazz win and the Cavs win. Cavs get to win now. Cavs are a lock to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Jazz now have the opportunity to build a contender over the next decade now that they have all these draft picks. So good job by Danny Ainge. Good job by Kobe Altman of the Cavaliers. Both teams won this trade. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.